If I told you that everything you've been told about aging is a lie? That the idea your best years are behind you is nothing more than a myth designed to make you quietly accept decline? If you're a man over 50, you've probably felt this weight pressing in from every direction. You sense it when the younger guys at work stop turning to you for advice, as if your wisdom has expired. You hear it in your doctor's voice when the conversation shifts from building strength to simply managing the decline. You notice it when the women who once lingered on your presence now pass by without a second glance. And yes, it stings. It frustrates you. But like so many men, you've been conditioned to swallow it, to stay silent, and to believe that this fading away is just the natural order of things. But here's the truth they don't tell you: you're not finished. Not even close. In fact, this is the moment you become most dangerous. Because for the first time in your life, you're carrying something the younger version of you didn't have. You've got the scars that taught you lessons. You've got the experience that can't be faked. You've got insight carved out of years of trial, failure, and survival. And perhaps most importantly, you've got no time left to waste on things that don't matter. This isn't just another feel-good pep talk. This is a call to arms. Not to rage against the world, but to finally step into the strongest, most unshakable version of yourself. Because while society worships youth, Stoicism whispers a deeper truth: that real strength is forged with age. The older you get, the more unmovable you must become. So what does that actually look like in real life? Not theory, not some philosopher in a robe, but living wisdom for men who refuse to fade quietly into the background. Let's break it down together. The first principle: the power of stillness. Why is it that older men hold the real leverage? Look at young men. They chase everything: money, women, validation, fast cars, louder voices, the endless hunt for likes on social media. It's chaos dressed up as ambition. But the older man, he learns the art of stillness. And here's the key: stillness is not passivity. It is controlled power. It's the awareness that 90% of what most people spend their lives chasing doesn't matter. And the other 10% cannot be bought. Stillness means you stop bleeding energy trying to fix everyone, trying to impress strangers, or trying to be liked. Instead, you shift from constant reaction to complete presence. Think of an older lion in the wild. He doesn't waste his strength chasing every movement in the grass. He waits. He conserves. Because he knows exactly when to strike and when silence is the greater weapon. That is the power of stillness. And once you understand it, you'll see why this principle becomes the foundation for everything else we're about to explore. As a man over 50, you carry that very same potential. You no longer need to be the loudest voice in the room. You don't need to fight for attention. Instead, you stand with the quiet weight of someone who has stared death in the face and didn't flinch. That kind of stillness, it turns into gravity. It pulls people toward you without you even trying. Women respect that presence, because others instinctively sense there is something deeper, something unshakable within you, the mark of a man who has survived himself. And that leads us to the second principle: unapologetic masculinity. Let the world call it intimidating if they must. There comes a moment in every man's life when he faces a choice. Either he shrinks to fit into the softened edges of the modern world, or he rises into something immovable, a mountain people must learn to walk around. Which path do you think holds more dignity? The truth is, you don't owe softness to anyone. You don't owe political correctness to people who haven't lived even a fraction of your battles. Today's culture wants older men to apologize for being masculine, for being straightforward, for holding standards, for refusing to bend with every emotional storm. But here's the irony. The very thing the world criticizes is exactly what it desperately needs. Your unapologetic energy, your strong presence, your refusal to dilute yourself. That is the antidote to a culture drowning in weakness. And here's the beauty. You don't need to shout. You don't need to argue. You don't even need to explain. All you have to do is exist without folding. Take up space again. Sit with your legs firm and wide. Speak slowly, deliberately, like every word carries weight. Lock your eyes onto someone else's until they're the one who looks away. That's not cruelty. That's not toxicity. That's masculinity. And in today's world, true masculinity is rare enough to be precious. So don't bury your nature just to make others comfortable. Don't dim your flame so that weaker men feel less insecure. Stand tall. Own the space you walk in. The world will adjust around you. Because strength always commands respect. And once you've reclaimed your presence, there comes another step, reclaiming discipline. Because masculinity without discipline is just wasted potential. They say a man peaks in his 30s. That's a lie. A man peaks the moment he chooses to master himself. Your 60s, even your 70s, can become your prime years. But only if you return to discipline. And discipline, contrary to popular belief, isn't about living like a soldier under strict routines. It's about living with dignity. Wake up and move your body. Eat with intention, as if your future depends on every choice, because it does. Stop outsourcing your mental clarity to the news cycle or chasing cheap dopamine that leaves you empty. Instead, begin each morning with stillness. Write in a journal, take a walk, stand under a cold shower. Not because it's trendy, not because some influencer told you to, but because your time has become your most valuable currency. And every day you waste is a debt you can never repay. You want vitality back? Train your body again like you mean it. You want mental clarity? Stop consuming endless streams of cheap, empty content. Instead, begin constructing something far greater, a cathedral of thought. A structure of ideas so solid it outlives the noise. The older you get, the more every action echoes. You're no longer just living day by day. You're laying down a blueprint for those who come after you. So ask yourself, what kind of design will you leave behind? Weak and fragile, or strong enough to endure? Which brings us to the next truth, the woman question. Why stop chasing and start attracting? Once you cross 50, something shifts. The chase feels old. The games feel empty. The hunger to impress fades. What you truly desire is not a performance, but a genuine connection, to be met as you are. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop chasing women is the very moment they start being drawn to you. Not the superficial kind, not the ones chasing status, attention, or sugar daddies, but the rare woman who senses your quiet strength, your self-contained power, and feels compelled to move closer. This transformation only happens when you stop living on the outside, when your worth no longer depends on validation. Women are magnetized by men who are whole within themselves, men who don't need approval, men who are complete. That's why you must stop pretending to be younger. Stop dressing like you're 25. Stop running from the gray hairs. Instead, own them. Wear your wisdom like a crown. Speak from your chest, not from your throat. There is nothing more magnetic than a man who walks into a room already knowing he is enough. You are not invisible. You're simply standing in a new place, one where you choose what deserves your attention. And that leads us to legacy mode, activated. Why does this matter? Because it's time to become the man people will talk about long after you're gone. Understand this. The final chapter is not the end. It's the moment where everything counts more than ever. The words you choose in conversation. The way you treat the younger men who look up to you. The example you set when you think no one is paying attention. That's where legacy is built. Most men are remembered for their paycheck, their title, maybe the car they drove. But true legacy? It lives in the unseen impact. In the lessons you gave without being asked. In the boundaries you refused to break. In the lives you protected. In the man you became when no one was watching. Your legacy is not carved on a tombstone. It's etched into the people who changed because they knew you. So start living as the man they'll quote when you're gone. Be the one whose name surfaces when younger men ask, "Who showed you how to be a man?" And let the answer be you. You are not past your prime. You are standing in the age of power. This is the season where your calm cuts deeper than chaos. Where your presence weighs more than any display of flexing. But that power is only yours, if you claim it back. So, if you feel this truth in your bones, if this message stirred something in you, a strength you thought you had lost, then write in the comments, "I'm not done." Let's spark a fire in the older generation of men. Because the world doesn't need more noise. It doesn't need more empty chatter. What it needs are men who walk with purpose, speak with weight, and live with legacy. So subscribe if you're done being talked down to. And remember this: age doesn't weaken you, it sharpens you.